Hello, everyone, and welcome to Entertainment 411, or as I like to call it, Entertainment 411, which makes no sense. Your weekly insight to the people who work in the Canadian entertainment industry. Our goal is to shine a spotlight on those who work in front of and behind the scenes. On today's episode, our guest is Kevin McDonald, who most of you know from the show Kids in the Hall. And most recently, Kevin was the voice of Prime Minister of Canada alongside an all-star cast for Crave's Super Team Canada. So we're about to welcome Kevin to the show, but first let's watch a couple of little clips just to prove that he's actually done some stuff.
This here, sir, is an authentic, vintage Kevin McDonald skit.
What's with the seaweed on Kevin's head in every sketch?
I believe that's his hair, Don.
Well, Jake, I really couldn't leave before discussing the bananas.
Mi casa y su casa.
There's something special we wanted to ask you guys.
Oh, are we gonna swing?
I hate to say this, but could you leave, like now?
I was so excited, I almost took my clothes off in the elevator in front of the Cohen twins. Identical twins. And I'm standing on our lawn of our house with egg all over my face. Kisses coming.
98, 99, 100.
Kevin McDonald's one of the most dynamic and dangerous comedians of our time. And gee, that seems like a weird thing for me to say.
I don't think it's weird at all. Please continue.
I know when I play a show like this, where there's a lot of comics, and so it isn't a Kids in the Hall crowd, I know this, I know the math. I know 68% of you have heard of the Kids in the Hall. And you're not exactly sure what we do. I think there's a couple of you right now saying, Kids in the Hall, were they a boy band in the 80s? That guy on stage, he was in a boy band? He has gone to hell.
And there we go. Proof that Kevin McDonald has done some things.
Yes.
I will note that in all those clips, you were talking to your male buddies dressed as women, and there was one real woman, and you told her to leave immediately.
Yes, what does that say?
I don't know. I'm sure your therapist has some thoughts on this.
Also, it was an ad lib. It wasn't in the script.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I hope she is returned and she's hanging out with you.
Yes. It's not anti-woman. It's anti-Kevin. I hate myself.
I also hate myself. This is going to go well then.
There you go.
You are coming to us from Winnipeg today.
Yes, as you can tell by the famous map that every Winnipegger has in their office there.
What is that a map? Well, it looks like the world, not Winnipeg. Is there a Winnipeg map beside it as well?
No, Winnipeg wouldn't do that.
No.
We're too modest. It's the world.
Oh, okay. Well, if you look closely, there's a thumbtack right in Winnipeg, and you're like, this is. You wake up, you have to remind yourself where you are.
Yes.
Excellent. So, is there anything particular? Are you on a press tour right now? Do you need to be talking? Are you promoting something? Are you just lonely? Is that why you're talking to us?
I'm not on a press tour. I'm not lonely. I'm a loner, maybe, but I'm not lonely. No, I'm talking to you because somebody asked me to.
Oh,
is that bad?
No, that's good. That's nice. I mean, we're honored. I was just reading your Wikipedia. You've been on like the Mark Maron show.
Yes.
And that's a little different because people actually listen to that.
No, they listen to this.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm self-deprecating. I hate myself.
As a Canadian should be.
Exactly. We wouldn't want to be too swollen-headed about this.
Yes.
But
don't worry. I mean, I'm in a tour, but I'm doing that. Well, I'm sort of in a tour. I go out every weekend. I either do stand-up comedy or my rock opera. I wrote a comedy rock opera, and I just did an off Broadway with Janine Garofalo and Dave Hill. I do stuff.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. See?
I'm mad at me because I'm the one that came across with the impression that I don't do stuff. I'm mad at me. I'm not mad at you. Kevin, you do stuff.
Yeah. You got to be more like, pump yourself up. You got to feel like, manifest it. Because even apparently when you talk down to yourself, even if you're just being sarcastic or funny, your body doesn't know the difference. Your cells are like, oh, we're feeling negative vibes. You got to just say happy things.
I believe that because I've done that for like 60 years now, and I think my body has been like 60 years deflated. I feel that.
It's beat you down. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's beat me down
you said we suck. All right.
too many
Well,
times.
we'll talk to your agent about that. Tell them to sort of coach you in
Yeah.
publicity.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
Well,
it's too late now.
what is this? A is it a one-man rock opera? Like, what is happening with this?
No, what I do is I Chuck Berry it. Chuck Berry it for you people who aren't young. Chuck Berry used to tour, and he would meet a different band in every city, and they learned his songs. I send the rock opera. I mean, if it's a big show like off Broadway, I go there and we rehearse and we meet and we talk. I send the songs and I send the script. It's like a staged reading, and it's about a part of my life. Like it's a story that really happened. Someone even plays Dave Foley all the time. We're doing it in Philadelphia. Dave Hill, do you know Dave Hill? He's in it. Dave Hill, a great guitarist, and mostly a great comedian, but also he's even a better guitarist. So mostly he's a comedian. Yeah, he's my. I just became friends with him. I'm 64 now. I think he'll be the last good friend I ever make.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the limit. That's why 65 is the retirement age, because you can't make friends anymore. So it's time to pack it in.
I think I was 31 when Nirvana came out, and I loved it. And I said, this is going to be the last rock band. I didn't know The Rock was going to die anyway. This is going to be the last rock band that you ever really, really love. And I think that's true.
You're right. You were like, you know what? Kurt Cobain's going to be my bestie for life. And then
Yeah.
it all went downhill. And you're like, all right, no more friends. So I was asking, I messaged a friend. She never got back to me. But I'm 12 years younger than you. And I remember when I was in university, when I was 18, we went to a bar in Toronto, and I remember we ran into Kids in the Hall. I don't remember if you were all there. I remember Bruce McCullough was there, and my friend Lori had a crush on him, and she went up to him and he said, "Touch my bum." That's all I remember. I don't know if you remember that.
I don't remember that.
No, but you had a big impact on me as a wee child.
Bigger impact on your friend,
Apparently, yes. So, but she's married with
was it
kids.
the Squeeze Bar Club thing? We always we pretend when in our pretentious nights we'd go there.
Squeeze Bar.
Squeeze Club, Squeeze something. Catherine O'Hara's brother owned it.
Really, I don't remember
Queen
that.
Street, very Queen Street West, like shy of Parkdale.
Interesting. Maybe. For some reason, I feel like it was in a basement in St. Lawrence Market, but that doesn't even make any sense. I don't know what bar would be there.
Yeah.
But it could have been Squeeze, actually. All the bars that I used to go to, they're all condos now, so it might have been one of those things that I forgot they existed.
Yeah.
That was Queen West? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, my God. There was a vampire bar for a while there, but now now it's a Starbucks or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I went to the Squeeze Bar less than the other guys because I'm apparently the unpretentious one.
Right. You were like, I don't need to artificially look cool by going to the Squeeze Bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all right. You guys must have performed at the Rivoli a lot on Queen.
We did the Rivoli. That was our club. That was our if I can not pretentious. If I can, what's the word?
Like name drop or just
name drop or pretend that we're more important than we are.
Yeah. Brag? I don't know.
Well, there's brag, but I was going for there's a fancy word. I forget words now that I'm older.
Yeah.
I was compared to the Beatles' the cavern. It was our cavern.
Oh, right. Okay. So one day when they'll make the documentary, they'll come and film it. You can give the tour and be like, yeah, here's where
that happened. We did the documentary. It came out a couple of years ago, and of course they interviewed us individually other places, but together they interviewed us, of course, the Rivoli, and we gave them the tour. So so you should be a documentary filmmaker.
Exactly. I've psychically figured it out, because I remember I just saw a documentary recently, like Paul McCartney walking people around. Here's the bar we went to, and here's my childhood home, and there's where John Lennon sat at the piano or whatever.
Yeah. When you get old, and we're just big enough to have a documentary. It's on Amazon. I didn't think it was going to be good. And Reg, the director, if you're watching or listening, I don't know what is happening. I was wrong. I admitted it was good. But I thought it was going to be bad because he wanted to interview us, and he ended up doing it. Not me. I'm the only rebel left. The others aren't rebel. I was the least rebel, and now they're not rebels. They wanted it because our name is Kids in the Hall. He wanted to interview us in the hall of a school. Get it? Kids in the Hall?
Yes.
I'm the only one that said no to that. No, Dave sort of said no. And so they filmed us. We went to the school. They filmed us in the gymnasium.
Which doesn't make any sense at all.
No, but it made me feel better. Like
Yeah.
Kids in the Hall.
Well, it's a bit on the nose, but it's also that's not why you were called Kids in the Hall. So it doesn't even make any. It's not like you formed in school or something. Like I
Yeah.
guess the legend was it Johnny Carson or Ed Sullivan would refer to the people waiting to get on the show as the Kids in the Hall. Was that what it meant?
I've read both things. I know it, I guess it was a common name. We say Jack Benny, but I like to say Sid Caesar more because Sid Caesar, the Kids in the Hall were the young people who wanted to be writers, and there was the ones that became famous: Mel Brooks and Woody Allen,
Right.
and that other guy, Larry Gelbart, who created the TV show MASH and
Oh.
wrote Tootsie. So that makes me feel better. But Jack Benny, I think he originated it. That he called his because he had his team of writers, same with Caesar, but they were young guys literally pacing the hall, and they sold enough jokes or sketch ideas. They became writers like Neil Simon, the Woody Allen. I forgot Neil Simon, Woody Allen, and Mel Brooks are the big Kids in the Hall.
So you're in good company with your name. Was it
Yeah.
originally, for some reason in my head, it was a theater sports team? Is that true, or
Yes,
just
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the original Kids in the Hall. It was Dave Foley and I, and a brilliant guy named Luciano Casimiri. We were like best friends, and we did theater sports. We called ourselves a few names at first: Uncle Vanya and the Three Sisters. Because theater sports. I don't know if people know theater sports anymore. Where two teams challenge each other to like a game. So the announcer would always say, "And the challenge passes over to." Whatever the name of the group was. So we called ourselves for a while, and the challenge passes over to. So the announcer hated us going, and the challenge passes over to, and the challenge passes over to.
Oh.
I remember once on mic, he thought he was off mic, but we heard him say, "They're really childish." Did they know that?
Well, if only he could see you now.
Yes. In Winnipeg with a map.
And it's a good thing that didn't stick, because now your name would still be like, okay, it's on Amazon, and the challenge passes on to, and it would be this little stupid inside joke that makes no sense in the future.
Yeah. We'd have to change it. The name of the TV show is the name of the TV show is.
Oh man, very meta.
Yeah. We like them. We like the meta stuff.
Yeah. No, that's true.
We were kids when Monty Python came on. You can't take that away from us.
Yes, I had all the, I guess, cassette tapes people would give me, or Four on the Floor. That was something I would listen to in high school.
Yeah, well, we the original Kids in the Hall. We because we're the Toronto ones. Scott's Toronto, but we didn't know him then. We went to radio tapings all the time, every second Thursday, to see the Frantics before they had Four on the Floor when they were a radio show. They were like a big radio hit on CBC.
Wow, that's right, radio. That's where I would listen to them.
Yeah.
Oh, did you guys ever do radio skits? I guess not.
We did. Dave Foley, Mark McKinney, and me, and Luch for a little while till he quit the troupe. We did. I forget I used to remember the initials, but I'm losing my old man's memory. The Ryerson station. We did a sketch.
Oh yeah, CKRU. I want to say. I'm just making.
I knew it was
up.
CK. I was going to say CK,
No.
but then EY. I know it's not CKEY. That was my parents' station, but CK something.
Well, I'm in Ottawa. It's CKCU. That's why I'm saying Carleton. But let's see, and we can't say Ryerson anymore because that's canceled. It's now Toronto Metropolitan University. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I'm sorry.
Yes. Apparently, Ryerson had something to do with slaves at some point or something. CKLN, maybe? CKJTM?
I did not know that. I'm sorry for saying that. I did not know that.
No. Well, CKLN. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess they renamed it a couple of years ago. So now it's Toronto Metropolitan, TMU, because that's a long name. and they almost renamed Dundas Street, but then I think at some point they just realized that's just too hard to do, so they've renamed Dundas Square.
What's that called now?
It's an African name. What is Dundas Square called?
I still think Dundas Square is a new thing because it didn't happen until I moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah, exactly. Young Dundas Square. They tore down, I don't know what, all the buildings.
The new thing is gone. That's how old I am. The new things are old and gone.
Exactly. Sankofa Square, approved in December 2023. So there you go. So
I approve of everything that helps the world.
Exactly. It's the good message.
It's a good
All right. So every now and then I have to go back to the questions that have been agreed upon with your agent and the
Oh
e-boss
yeah.
and all
I
that.
looked at them. I pretended to look at them and said, "Yeah, they're great."
Yeah. Okay. So they haven't been vetted, but whatever. I mean, we've sort of covered that. The first question was, how did you first get started in comedy and what inspired the creation of Kids in the Hall? But I guess
I didn't
well,
really say that. I could. Oh, unless you're bored of that kind of question, I could
No.
answer how I personally got into comedy.
well, I read about how you were at you took drama at Humber, and then
That's it.
they kicked you out because you were only good at comedy, and they called you a one-legged comedian, which is ironic because there was actually a one-legged professor who told you that.
You got all my shtick. That's it. That's it. And then, do you have this? That day after I was kicked out, the guy who taught me in performance, I got 100%. I'm the only guy that in the class that got 100%. I did Al and the Pussy. We did a scene from Al and the Pussycat. Me and my partner, acting partner, Sharon Helt. And if you're hearing, I admit it. I had a crush on you. I admit it.
Do you think you can get her still?
No.
Oh.
No. No, she's very happy with a human being.
Yeah.
I'm not really a human. So he ran out. He said, "Kevin, you're not a one-legged actor. Yeah, you're really good at comedy." And he said, "Today is actually a good day," because I was like crying, and I had to go back. I had to take the long trip back to Mississauga to tell my mother that she was right. I wasn't good looking enough to be an actor. And he said, "This is going to be a good day." And then he handed me a little piece of paper that he'd cut out, and he'd written the phone number for Second City workshops. And that's how I got in and met Dave Foley. And then the little sidebar to the story is that guy was William Davis, who later became the smoking man in X-Files.
Oh, right. Yes, that is on your William B. Davis. It was on your.
William B. I forgot the B. Sorry.
It was on your Wikipedia. I guess I have a visual memory. I didn't even realize. I should go back to school.
Yeah.
That is exciting. So, did you start in level A at Second City?
There was only one level back then.
Oh.
And you went there for. I was there. I think I was there for somewhere between 2 and 3 years, and I met Dave a year after I started. So he was there a year to 2 years, and we just kept coming back because this is just a theory. Now that I'm live and people are, so I don't know if this is true, but our theory was that everybody got to audition for Second City and in the workshops, and everybody failed. And we always thought that was because they probably wanted us to think, "Oh, I got so close to being in Second City, I better keep taking these workshops." But it's just a theory. Don't sue me. It's just a theory we have.
That sounds. I would say sounds right to me, because you take the things and you're like, I'm taking the Second City class. You feel like you're close, and they'll let you audition or make you audition. It only occurred because I took all the classes, levels A to E, and then the conservatory for a year. It only occurred to me now, 30 years later, wait a minute, I could have auditioned for the actual main stage. And I looked it up during the pandemic, and they say you just missed the annual thing. You can do it again. But I'm like, at 52, could I even audition? What do you think? Do you think there's an age limit for comedy? I'm trying to think.
I think anyone can audition.
Well,
There's no age limit for comedy. I mean, they may falsely think there's an age limit for for their context, but I don't agree with that.
I keep looking up what's the latest people joined Saturday Night Live, and I think it was Lori, that woman, the woman in Ghostbusters, she joined at
Leslie
47.
Jones, she was 50, I think.
Yeah, something like that, 47, 50. So that gives me hope. I keep thinking yes, but I guess it's not the average age.
And also but also the superstar year, they got older ones like Michael McKean, though I think he was over 40. There were a few they hired over 40, but they were already established.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad for comedy to have somebody mature, because then you have more to pull on. I feel like every time you see a young kid doing stand-up, he's going to talk about, the TV shows he watches or date. There's not much life to draw on. So
right. Though I remember we're the same age, and I was in Second City workshops. I remember seeing another 19-year-old Eddie Murphy and thinking, wow, like he can do everything. He can be funny as himself, and he can do characters. And I'm he was sort of maybe his content adhered closer to his age, but his talent was it's like he'd been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah. We used to, when I worked at a camp, we would watch his tapes over and over, and his red leather jumpsuits and stuff.
Yeah. Well, he loved Elvis. He dressed like Elvis. He openly said that he wanted to be the Elvis of comedy. So he sort of dressed like Elvis.
That's interesting, because I was thinking lately, I would go to music concerts at Blues Fest in Ottawa and just see people screaming for people. It doesn't even matter how old you are. They'll still scream for Robert Plant or something. And I was like, is there anything else like that where people will just scream? Is comedy kind of like that, kind of like your rock star.
There's a different version of that. They with Monty Python and us on a much smaller scale. They scream from the excitement of the fun. It's nothing sexual, and they'll scream out the words of the dialogue of the scene. So there's a comedy version of that, but it's nothing sexual.
Yeah. So,
I assure you.
so if anybody wants to, meet a loving partner, don't go into comedy. That's not your ticket.
No, they'll just scream at you.
Yes. All right. You have voiced the character Pleakley
Yes.
in Lilo and Stitch. How did that opportunity come about, and what was the experience like? And I will be honest, I have no idea what Lilo and Stitch even is, but apparently it's a big movie right now.
Oh, really? Really? Well, I don't correct people, but just because people are, it's
Was it
called
Lilo?
Lilo and Stitch.
And I said Lilo. Okay, so
Yeah,
there
yeah.
we go. That's good.
It's funny. I was just going to do it matter of factly, but I said it kind of like it's called Lilo. I didn't mean to say it that way.
Yeah.
It's called Lilo and Stitch. And there's a reboot out now, a live action reboot.
Yeah. So you're not in that. You were in, what
No,
was it, a
I'm too old for
cartoon?
that.
Or
Pardon?
was
I'm
it
in the
original?
cartoon, the
Yeah.
25-year-old cartoon, 24-year-old cartoon,
Oh, wow.
and yeah.
and
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, is that a big thing? Like, does that mean you go to like fan expos now and sign Lilo or Pleakley cards or something?
Well, because the Kids in the Horse sold, we call it a legacy act, and nobody is a punk rocker anymore. I'm the only one that feels guilty about it. We do go to Comic Cons together. I don't go without them. But when they come up to, we're all lined up, and the people that come up to me do have Lilo and Stitch things for me to sign, like people who were people in their late 20s who were like kids when the movie came out, or kids that watch it now in repeats.
Wow. Okay. So that's something that lives on. How did you get that job? Was that because you were famous from Kids in the Hall, or do you still have to audition with a bunch of people?
Both those things. The two directors, Chris Sanders was the American, and he's the guy that actually in the reboot too does the voice of Stitch, Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
And the other guy, the other co-writer, co-director, Dean DeBois, I believe his name. And if I'm getting his last name wrong or mispronouncing it, I apologize. I'm an old man.
Yep.
And he's a Canadian. He's from Ottawa.
Oh.
And he did I think he studied animation in Humber, or no, it's not Humber. It's the other one.
It's not Fanshawe. It's
Not sure.
Sheridan. Sheridan's the big
Sheridan!
animation one. Yeah.
And he was a Kids in the Hall fan, and there was a character I did, a passive aggressive alien, that he in the sketch with Dave Foley that he wanted me to be like. And should I close my door because my dog's barking?
No, I like dogs.
Okay, keep barking, Alaska. Bark more! Bark more!
Reverse psychology.
No, I was going for you, but it turned out to be reverse psychology because she stopped barking. And he wanted me to do that voice. And so I auditioned. I had auditioned a few times. He had talked the other director into it, but Disney had to be talked into more. So I went there a lot until they finally said, they didn't say yes in a celebratory way. The Disney head, it was sort of like this. All right. Fight him up. It was sort of like that.
Oh wow, that does that hurt the ego to know they're reluctantly casting you?
Well, because I have a low ego anyway, I mostly I said thank you, and then went back in the car, and the real me was, I got it! I'm in a Disney cartoon. I sound like a Disney cartoon.
Yeah, see that could be an audition for another Disney cartoon right there.
Yeah, I'm in a Disney cartoon. And and it was a lot of fun. And they pay you $5,000 recording session. You didn't ask me this. Nobody cares about this.
No,
And
everybody.
I did 5
Well,
sessions.
we
And
do
I
care.
like I only did 5 sessions. I did 25,000. That's pretty good. But the movie was a big hit, and I'll never forget this. A year later, I went to the mailbox. I got a residual check for $105,000.
Oh.
I know. That's what. And I just bought. My partner and I, we had just bought a house that was more expensive than we had planned, and it's it was sort of like wonderful. So, but also I love cartoons and doing cartoons, and I love voice. But it's not just the money.
Yeah. Well, I thought the end of that story was going to be, but I hadn't signed to get any money from the movie, so now I'm screwed. And
Right.
So
like
that's...
a singer-songwriter from the '60s.
Yeah, or like I want to say that like Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I think he did get pieces of the action figures or something, and he was rich.
Oh, Alec
or whatever.
Guinness. I think they promised him a percentage because that's the only way they can get him for the.
Yes, but I remember. Do you care about the anecdote? I remember I watched this
Oh
recently.
yes, I do. I do.
Yeah, so it was something like George Lucas says, you know what, this is gonna do really well. I'll give you 1%. It was some number like 1%, and I was like, sure, but they didn't sign anything. And then later, after it blew up, and Alec was like, hey, remember you said? He's like, yeah, I said 0.5%, and it's like, what? So he got screwed. You got to get it in writing.
Still, 0.5% was probably a lot too. Probably.
Yeah, and he was already very old. What was he gonna do with the money?
Yeah.
Although he probably wasn't as old as we think he was. Like at the time, we're like, oh my God,
He was born in 1914, so he was 63 when he did Star Wars.
Oh my God, and he's younger than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Younger than me. I'm waiting for my Star Wars.
Exactly. Well, that could be. Oh my gosh. All right. So you've had guest roles on many iconic shows. Are there any that stand out, or if in Canadian, out and about as particularly memorable or meaningful?
The first big one I was on, it turned out not to be big. It was the original Ellen show, but it was the year after she came out, so nobody watched that. Nobody knows that I was her new boss.
Oh no!
5 or 6 episodes. That was fun. Just because it was Ellen, and they had just done a historic thing, and I think she's sort of a genius, in my opinion. Well, she is a genius, and. There was once we taped in front of a live audience, and there's one scene where we had to do over 8 times because she kept laughing at what I did. So I like stuff like that. But here's another story, which is not funny. I did Friends, and my partner, she was going to come to the show, and we didn't have cell phones, but I called her at the you weren't supposed to use the phone, but they were in the dressing room, so I used the phone, and I called long distance sometimes too. But she wasn't long distance. She was like 4 miles away in Los Angeles, and she said, you know what, I don't feel like coming, is that okay? She said it better than that. And I'm just shortening the story, and I thought, well, sure, of course, but I thought that's weird. And then after the show, I drove back home, and the cops were there. Our place had been broken into.
Oh, so she didn't tell you, she didn't want to ruin the show.
She didn't want to ruin the show for me, yeah.
But I don't know. I'd almost want to hear that, because otherwise I'm worried, like, is she breaking up with me? What's going on? I would have been too stressed.
Yeah. Somehow she said it. I know that she wasn't breaking up with me.
Okay.
Like, she came up with some good reason. That was a half a lie and half a thing that I bought, but I still thought it was weird. And also, like, people want to hear Friends stuff. In Friends, I did the scene. The character I played was Guru Saj. And David Schwimmer, his character Ross, I forget.
Yes,
had a boil on his bum. I'll say bum, ass. Can I say ass?
I don't know.
Ass bum, and because he was a method actor, I thought, oh, don't touch his bum until the show. But he was very nice, and we got along very well. Because he was a method actor, he said, "Could you do me a favor and touch my bum all the time?" That's how he put it too. Can you do me a favor and touch my bum all the time? Sure.
Wow. Nobody has ever said that to me.
Well, the only time was for me. It was in a situation that was pretend acting.
Right.
He also, to be a braggart, he also laughed at one of his scenes in front of a live audience. We had to do it over a few times.
This is good. I wish I guess they've got clips of that. Hopefully they can make a montage of you cracking people up.
I did probably not. Probably in the famous cutting room floor of Hollywood.
Right. Now they'd be like, sure, we'll just put it on a hard drive. But then it's like, we got to store these tapes somewhere.
Yes.
Ugh. I'm just curious, like, when did you go from Canada to LA? Because that's my dream. That's everybody's dream, I would imagine. Like, and then you just go down there.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, I always dreamed of Los Angeles. When I was a kid, when I loved the Monkey Show and what's it called? That's British spy show. I forget the name. There was the Avengers too. Batman. I wanted to. My friends and I, on my urging, started building like a balloon, like a basket, and we were going to get a giant balloon. I don't know where we were going to like fly to Hollywood. And then I was 7, and then a few months later, my dad was. We were transferred to Hollywood, like to Burbank.
Oh right. So you were there as a kid, and then you went back to Toronto.
Yeah, I was only there for a year, like for grade 2, and. We lived in Burbank right by NBC Studios. So we saw Johnny Rodden. I do Johnny Rodden story in my stand-up. Johnny Carson, like driving to work. And you're way younger than me. I know you think you're old. You're way younger than me. Laughing, the famous thing where Ruth Buzzy played the old woman and she hit Artie Johnson with a purse. They shot that in a park, and it was the park where I played. So I saw that a couple of times. And on the way to school, it's where they shot Let's Make a Deal. where so there was a lineup of people in like crazy costumes. I remember one guy was dressed as a pickle and another guy was dressed as a cigarette pack, and I had to pass them every. There were different costumes every day, and I think that's part of the reason why I'm in show business.
That would affect you as a kid, I think.
Yes.
Like how Nate Bargatze talks about his dad was a magician or something.
Yeah. That's show business. Yes. And then when the kids in the whole movie Brain Candy was bombing, because of my bad instincts, I thought, I should start my solo career, and and my my wife had left me, and it just seemed to make sense. So I went to Los Angeles when I was 34, and in the middle of Brain Candy bombing.
Why do you think it bombed? I don't know if I knew that it bombed, but it's always hard for a comedy movie. I don't know.
Our nickname, before you ask me the question you're about to ask, our nickname for it is cost $8 million, gross $3 million.
Oh wow, yeah, that would do it.
I know why it bombed. I know why we have the career we had. It's all the same question. I think we're good. I think Brain Candy is good. I think the Kids in the Hall show is really good. But we're not for everybody. Scott Thompson puts it this way. He was once asked in an interview, why Saturday Night Live is so popular and you guys are liked by a small like cult group of people. And he said, at first I thought it was going to be crazy because he can be crazy sometimes, but it was brilliant. He said, it's like lemonade. Most people in the world like sweet lemonade, like Saturday Night Live. There's a small group of people that like sour lemonade, but those ones who like sour lemonade, love it! And that's what we're like. We're like sour lemonade. And everyone likes sweet lemonade, but they don't go crazy over it. They're not obsessed talking about it. But the people who like sour lemonade, small group, but they super love it. And that's sort of us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because like very twisted, weird, odd comedy that, it's cool to watch on CBC late at night or whatever it was on.
Yeah.
But,
and we didn't think we were being cool. We just thought we were being funny. Like three of us, Dave and I for sure, and Mark a little bit. We're fans of like old comedy. Like Dave and I bonded because we like the Marx Brothers and Buster Keaton and W.C. Fields and Ernie Kovacs and the 70s people that were happening. So I always think that people that just think we're alternative comedy and weird are, I don't care. I'm not mad at them. Who cares about us? But are missing the boat about us. I think we're a mixture of strangeness and weirdness forced in a cup of conventional comedy. Like Monty Python, they were so anti-sketch comedy. They deconstructed sketch comedy. If they didn't like the scene they were doing, they didn't have to end it. One of the characters would just leave and go to another scene, or they would say now for something completely different. We're in form. We were sort of like Carol Burnett. Our sketches had a beginning, a middle, and end. All the weird stuff was in the content.
Yeah. My high school grade 13 or 12 English project was comparing American and British comedy, and I remember British, just weird, just a bit more bizarre, and Americans kind of more like fast food. It's like, it's fine, it's McDonald's, everybody likes it, kind of thing.
Yeah. And there's great British comedy, and there's also Benny Hill. Is Benny Hill alive? Is he going to sue me?
I can't imagine. I mean, he was. I don't know.
He can't be alive.
Yeah.
But his estate could sue me.
Yeah. Look him up. So
if they sue me and I have to go to London, let's bring it on. Sue me.
Do it. Or I watch a lot of podcasts. All you have to do is say allegedly before you say anything, and then. It's fine.
Sorry, allegedly. I said in my opinion a few times.
Yeah. That's you're covered.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I know Charlene at eBoss wanted to do a little break right in the middle, so we could do that now, Charlene, and then we'll come back with a question about the difference between performing solo on stage versus working as part of an ensemble.
Oh, I better write that down. Write my answer down.
Yeah. You got 2 minutes to practice.
My objective, my game here is not to keep you in perpetual classes. My game here is to get you camera ready so that when the opportunity arises for you to compete for a role, you get the role, and you are so incredibly efficient and effective on set that, oh my gosh, you're called back in to read again and again and again. You're invited back to the party again and again and again. That, to me, is what a good class should be all about. Getting you to the point where you don't need a class. And if I play my cards right, and if you guys do your job right, hopefully it won't be long before that's the case.
actors, I know you feel like you're sending your self-tapes into the void because you've told me time and time again, and I feel you, and you're not alone. That's exactly why I created the Callback Collective, a monthly private community for actors. It's a nice low pressure way to stay consistent, get better at self-directing, build your confidence, and finally feel like you're not doing this alone. Every month you get a live Q&A with me. You get access to a ton of resources. You get a self-tape challenge. And then there's going to be a live Zoom where we go through your self-tape and I give you adjustments and feedback on the spot. You get to redo it like a callback. And you also get access to this private, beautiful, growing community. It's like a gym class, sort of, but for actors. No judgment, real growth, supportive community. So whether you're just starting out or getting back into the groove of things, this is the accountability and support you've been missing. So join the Callback Collective today. There is a special sale for eBoss listeners for a limited time. So join now, get in for June. We're just getting started and I can't wait to work with you. See you soon.
Wow. I wonder if those are like sponsors and like eBoss is making money now.
They seem very nice.
They do seem nice. We should interview them together sometime. Well, Kevin and Josh.
Yes, we should interview them together. It would be fun. Also, I'm thinking I should take the acting for camera workshop.
That's true. It's time to brush up your skills. Maybe you could finally be a dramatic actor.
Yeah, a two-legged actor.
Yes, both. Have you ever thought of, say, Robin Williams was famous as a dramatic actor as well. Have you thought of like taking it to that level? Or
like
Jim
when I
Carrey?
was a kid, I try to ignore the fact that I was funny. I just wanted to be an actor. The thing that there's 3 or 4 milestones, but I won't bore you with the other 3. One of my milestones when I was like 10 or 11 is I saw Marlon Brando On the Waterfront on TV, and I thought I want to do that. I want to do that. And then like Montgomery Clift and From Here to Eternity, and the other movie he did, Place in the Sun. I thought I was going to be a method actor, but I'm too funny. And now being a sketch comic, if I ever did drama, I hope I do sometime. It would be hard for me not to mock it, because that's sort of the what you do as a sketch comedian.
Yeah. You'd be instantly like, what's the ridiculousness of this?
Yeah.
And there's another question in sort of the list here, which kind of ties into that. You often mix humor with vulnerability in your storytelling. Is that intentional, and why do you think that resonates with audiences? Is that just your natural sense? Like you're
yeah. Like I did look at these questions because I remember that one. I guess I was kidding before. I don't think about going for vulnerability. I don't. I think I know what they mean by vulnerability. And I think in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm doing a funny thing, that I'm doing a different color of what I've just done for like 2 or 3 minutes, and I think it's funny. But also, I sort of want to be real, so I wouldn't fake vulnerability like it's real. I want to be real, even when I'm doing something crazy and unrealistic. I want to be real. I also want to bring a little bit of myself into everything. I think that a creative person's mind is like the Beatles. You have a Paul McCartney part and you have a John Lennon part. And I try to use both parts. And what I mean by that is I would consider, and I'm pigeonholing them, they may be mad at me, even the dead one, what I'm saying.
His estate's coming after you, yeah.
Yeah. Yoko's coming after me. But McCartney is like imagination, which I like and I do. But I really like John Lennon, who was real. Like even when he wrote a pop song like Help, he made it seem like it was about like his girlfriend, but he was crying for help. And but it was disguised as a pop song. But I also like imagination, Eleanor Rigby making stuff up. I like both, and the imagination is important in sketch comedy. But I'm not trying to meld the two. And even when I'm doing Paul McCartney, I want to make it John Lennon real.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my Second City teachers telling me like Andrew Curry would say, like do it real. Like don't play the joke, and then the audience it'll be a deeper laugh. You can make a poo-poo joke, but if the laugh comes from something like, oh my God, that's so true, it'll be a more profound, real laugh.
Yeah, and even more than that, if you do a poo-poo joke, if you're like it's in the script and you're stuck with a poo-poo joke, make it real.
Yeah. Like, what is the reality of this poo-poo joke? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
because the poo-poo joke is going to make people laugh. Even if it's not funny, they're not going to laugh. But even if it's not funny, they're going to realize that it's a line they should laugh at and that it's silly. So sometimes the more real you do something stupid like that, the better it is.
Cool. So,
Right.
in your humble expert comedic, have you ever thought of? Well, I'm just coming up with ideas for like doing an act, like a class on how to do comedy.
I do. I teach workshops.
Oh.
Workshops. That's another thing I do. I never mention that when I say I always say I do stand up. It's my version of stand up, by the way. It's like it's a one man show in a way version of stand up. And I do rock opera, but I also teach workshops. I'm going to Washington D.C. this weekend, and I'll be doing not the rock opera, but the show is the first half is I do 45 minutes of I call it stand up, but it's me telling funny kids in the hall stories. And then the second half is me improvising with the local troupe. But during the day, I'll be teaching a workshop. And any hack who had a sketch show in the 90s teaches this workshop. But I teach how to write sketches through improvisation.
Okay. Well,
Which you studied in Second City.
Yeah. Do you teach the workshops in Canada at all?
Yes, I do. I was just in Toronto. You've heard of Toronto? I was just in Toronto.
Well, we know you're from Toronto because you said Toronto, not Toronto.
I know. My partner here in Winnipeg, Paula, she gets mad at me for not saying the T, but no one does in Toronto.
Toronto. No, they would stop you at the border. They're like, you're obviously not from here if you're saying, I'm a resident of Toronto. Please return me.
You're not here. You're a liar.
Duh.
Yeah, there was a song from You're Too Young for This. There was a group called The Kings, and it was a double-sided single. And I forget, one of the songs had the line, and everybody repeated it. If you wanna come to Toronto, and it was just that line was popular.
Oh, that would be good. It feels like it should be a Stompin' Tom song. Like,
yeah, I did it bad. It's a good poppy rock song. I'm doing it badly. I'm doing it like Stomping Tom.
No, that's
if you wanna come to Toronto. It's not like that.
And then and people from not there. How do you rhyme wanna with Toronto? That you have to.
Yeah, you can't. And what do you rhyme with Toronto? Pronto, I guess.
Yeah, Tonto from
Tonto.
Lone Ranger.
Tonto, come here pronto. I'm over here in Toronto.
Yeah. When is your next workshop in Canada? Everybody's asking. They want to know.
Let me think. Canada. Well, I'm just signing up. There's going to be one in Calgary. Though I just right before this, the reason why I was a few minutes later to being here early was that I was setting up something in Calgary, and I know where I'm going to perform. I don't know I know who the people are who's going to help me set up a workshop, but I don't know the actual space yet. So look for that.
Cool.
Somewhere in Calgary in November, I think.
Do you have a website where you're listing where you're going to be doing your show and your workshops and stuff?
I'm so the Kids in the Hall. I put it on the Kids in the Hall website.
Okay, because I noticed when I was going to tag you for hey, I'm going to interview Kevin McDonald. You don't exist online.
But I do have a Twitter thing, X thing. I do.
Oh, that's right. You were saying that. I guess the kids made you sign up for Twitter so you could promote something in the past.
Yeah, in our last tour, Mark McKinney on the train. We were going to take the train to save money, which was fun. He forced me to get on. He took my phone and put me on Twitter, and which I thought was because I know I'm funny and all that, blah blah blah, but I'm not good with writing jokes. It was good to try to write a funny thing in so many characters. That was like good training for me for a while. But now I don't even do that.
No, that would be a good exercise though, to tell yourself I'm going to write within the characters. I'm going to write a joke every day on Twitter, and that could be like a stand-up act that you do. It's like, here's my tweets.
People do that, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, have you ever been tempted to get onto Instagram and TikTok and sort of, do your little skits? I'm sure you'd be huge. I mean, I guess if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But
no, no, I just don't understand the new medium. Like I still have a CB radio. Like I don't understand, and I figure I have that like on stage. Like I could, all my ideas are good for stage, and hopefully a movie that I've written, hopefully I'll co-direct, and hopefully I'll star in. I mean, if the movie gets done, I'll do all those three things. We got a little funding, and we got a press release that we're going to do it. So we just need a little more funding.
A little telefilm, Canada?
Yes, a little telefilm. You know the score. Yes, a little telefilm.
Do you have a grant writer, or did you write it yourself?
I wrote it myself, and half the people who read it love it, and half the people who read it hate it, and the people I trust the most are the ones who hate it. But I always say in my workshops, my favorite thing is rewriting, and I love rewriting. But when I get their notes, I look at it, I go, I sort of know they're right technically, but it's not what I want to do this way. The movie, I want it to sort of be half like independent kind of movie. And I wanted to have to be like Zucker and Abrams. I wanted to be about like characters you care about, but with surreal comedy. And I just, because that's the idea. I have so many gags in my head that and after that, I'll write real movies. I swear to God, people who half the people who hated, but I just got to get that out of my system. And I think there's a place for it. I think the movie Annie Hall was like that.
Ooh, that's one of my favorites. I remember seeing that going, that is me. I want to do that. I want to do jokes, but real, that make you tug at your heartstrings.
Real, but still the surreal gags. Like I wish Marshall McLuhan was right here, and then
he'll turn to camera, like he'll sort of do all those postmodern things. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm no writer like Woody Allen, but that's what I'm trying to do in this one script. I promise. I'll write more real movies later. But like sketch comedy tone, but in a story you care about.
Well, that's kind of what.
Because you care about Annie and him when he's splitting up, and yet there's like his house was like under a roller coaster, like things that aren't real.
It's true, because I saw it many years ago. I didn't even remember that it was sort of surreal. I just remembered the feelings I felt. So that's interesting. But have you seen Deadpool? I would say those are like that now, kind of like they are still,
I saw the first Deadpool, and I liked it. There's no reason why I haven't seen the others. But yeah, it was sort of like that. I mean, it was sort of like comedy and of course it's action, but also there was some sad drama between the fact that he can never be with his love and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you want to feel it, because if you don't feel it, you're like, okay, it's a bunch of poo-poo jokes. There's nothing grounding it. Like,
so like just Zucker's Abrams. I loved it as a kid, but that wouldn't interest me nowadays. I want to ground it. But the people, half the people who read it who hated my script, they want just the thing you care about. But also, I don't like as they get older. The trouble with the other kids in the hall, they're more successful than I am. And because of that, they play by rules I don't care about. You got to have emotion. The characters have to seem like a family. I don't like that. I don't like that. And thank God I haven't become more successful, because I might like that. Where's the emotion? If one more person tells me that, where's the emotion?
Oh, man.
I want to make it emotional, but I want to make it... I'll stop talking about this after this.
No, it's good.
The most emotional parts in the movie, in my movie, I don't want to be more emotional than Hard Day's Night is one of my all-time favorite movies. You can tell I'm a Beatles fan. I'm an old guy. And there was a scene. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, well, for people who've seen it, duck. I'm not talking to you anymore. Don't duck. There's a scene where Ringo leaves the Beatles, and it's like a comedy.
Spoiler alert.
Ringo leaves the Beatles. He gets back. It's of course it's a musical, but it's like almost as funny as a Marx Brothers movie.
Wow.
But he leaves the movie because he doesn't feel he's appreciated. And so right before their big show, they're going on live TV, like a couple hours before, he leaves the studio and he quits the troupe. And then he's walking down the Mersey River, I guess, and he sees a kid who's by himself, and they start talking, and they're talking about silly things, stupid things. But the kid, he's mad at his mates, like the kid's like 12, and they're skipping stones, and it's sort of funny. But then he sees his friends across the river, and they go, "Come on!" And then the kid leaves Ringo at the drop of a hat, even though they were sort of having a nice, sort of like a nice talk. And then Ringo, he doesn't say it, but you see him thinking, "Oh, I should join my mates." And that's as emotional as I want to get, at least in this movie.
I like that. I could see you making kind of like a little indie film, like maybe playing a version of yourself, like some Toronto comedian, and heartbreak and reality, but some weird stuff. Like
that's what it is. Everything you said is what it is.
I like it. Kind of like Garden State, that kind of raw, nice.
Yes.
Or do you ever see Lars and the Real Girl with Ryan Gosling?
Oh yeah, I saw that on the plane.
Yeah.
I saw Garden State in the movie theater, but I saw. Lars was really great.
Yes.
He's such a great actor. I like how great actors, they can do comedy. But to me, it seems when people say comedy is hard, it's the great actors who can do comedy that are saying that, because they have to get there through acting. I don't have to. I could just sort of do it through comedy. But he's very funny in that, and very vulnerable, to use that word.
Yeah. All right. Recently, you were part of Super Team Canada alongside with other Canadian comedy legends.
Yes.
What has that experience been like for you, and what do you hope audiences take away from it?
Well, I hope they like it. I don't know. I'm terrible. I don't read the whole script. I just read my lines, and I did it by myself in a studio in Winnipeg. I didn't do it with the other actors. I was surprised when I saw the commercial last week, and he's in it. Oh, she's in it. I didn't know that.
Oh man, see if you had
Wow, this
Instagram,
is
you could
good.
tag them on the
People
post about it.
Watch it. I hope they like it. It's making fun of Canada the way that we Canadians do, and it was fun to do. And then I know the two brothers who are in charge of it, and it was fun to do it with them. Those through I call it Zoom. I don't know if it was actually Zoom.
Yeah.
Through aspirin, and it was a lot of fun to do, and they let me ad lib, and that was fun. And I guess I usually don't see stuff unless it's Kids in the Hall thing, where I sort of have to see it because we're editing it all the time. I try not to see the things I do.
Oh, really? You're like when Johnny Depp goes on Letterman and says, "I haven't seen my movies" or whatever. And people
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and I don't mean it in a pretentious way.
Yeah.
I mean it more in a neurotic way.
Yeah.
I
you get stressed.
Why? Yeah, why hate me more than I do?
Yeah. If you don't like it, you're like, I can't do anything about it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were there for the recording. What do you need to like the magic? You don't need to see the movie.
Yeah, I was there because I'm always disappointed. Any good moment that I think was good, when I see it again, I think it's less good, and it just could be the psychological thing of I thought it was like this, and it's different on the screen, and so I could even be wrong. But why put me through that?
Yeah. So did you go to like a studio to record that in Winnipeg? Or?
Yes, Digital Frank. It's
just down the street.
To that side of the map. That side of the map.
Oh.
Yeah, I do a lot of cartoons, and I do it there.
And at
I
this,
miss like going to Nickelodeon and Disney Studios, like in Hollywood, but I do it through what I call Zoom.
yeah, it's probably what do they call that? Where you were patching you in through whatever it is.
Yeah, it's more complicated than Zoom. I know.
Yeah. Well, that makes me wonder, like, why are you in Winnipeg now? Like, what is the path? Like, I know Tom Green was in L.A. and now he lives in a van outside of Ottawa. Like, why are these L.A. people? Like, because I keep thinking, should I go to
he
L.A.?
made a decision to go back home. Doesn't he live in a beautiful ranch?
Yeah, he's always on Instagram showing his horse and everything. So he is living the life. Yeah. He's not literally in a van.
Yes. Well, Toronto, and then I moved to Los Angeles. I lived there for 15 years, and then it's this simple. I met a woman in Winnipeg, Paula. She's not there, but she's there sometimes. So I'm finding where she is sometimes. And I eventually moved here like 14 years ago, and we bought this house, a house for the map, and then it's kind of at first I missed because I like big cities, though I don't think Los Angeles is a city. To me, it's more like a series of villages. I have a tickle in my throat. That'll help this interview.
You can get some water if you want or whatever. But...
Yeah, the water. I forgot to bring the water. It would have been here, and I would have been doing this.
I filled an old bottle of protein shake with water. This is my water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does it still have protein shake flavor?
Yeah, a little bit of vanilla, so it's kind of a little flavor, a little
That's
something.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I feel like I'm in a fancy hotel. What advice would you give to emerging comedians trying to find their voice?
Oh, I do have advice I give at the end of my workshop when people ask this.
So we shouldn't spoil it.
I'll try not to say it like I've said it 40 times.
Yeah.
Do it all the time. Whatever you're doing, like if it's just writing comedy, or it's just like improvising, or it's performing the comedy you write, do it all the time. Because I have this theory that we get invisibly better. We don't know we're getting better, but we're getting better just by doing it. We're building muscles and instincts that we don't have all the time, that we didn't have before, I mean, and hopefully we will have all the time. And I call it watching the puppy grow, because when you have a puppy and you're with the puppy all the time, the puppy's getting bigger, but you don't know it. But if you went away for a week and you came back, you would see, oh, the puppy's getting bigger, the puppy's growing. And that's do it all the time, write all the time. Even if you have nothing, like no one to show it to, the plan is you will one day. So Jerry Seinfeld always said to young comics, write 10 jokes a day. And he guaranteed that for the first 6 months, most of those jokes they would never be able to use. But like a 7th month in, you would start finding your voice. That's how you find your voice. I also say this. Here's another thing I say. Speaking about finding your voice, learn. Go to workshops, even from old hacks that had TV shows in the '90s. Even us. but young people are probably better. Learn the rules of whatever it is you're interested in: sketch comedy, improv, stand-up comedy, just writing. Learn the rules, but do it in the spirit that if you follow my other advice and you perform all the time or write all the time, you're going to learn the rules to break the rules. Because you have to know the rules to break them. You just can't start by breaking the rules. And when we start breaking the rules that we've learned, that's when we find our voice.
Yeah, I hear that all the time about improv. Like you have to know, you know you shouldn't, do blocks and stuff, but you can
Yeah.
do it when you know what you're doing. But if you're just messing up the scene by, blocking
Yeah,
every
exactly.
offer or whatever, yeah.
Exactly. And also that goes with like teamwork, because Dave Foley and I, we can sort of read each other's minds. So we'll be improvising even to this day. And as you just said, you're not supposed to block. But I know what he wants, and he says something, and the way he says it, I said, he wants me to say no. It would be blocking if I said yes, because I know what he wants.
That's
So
so good.
teamwork is important that way. So and that always works out. Like I always know what he wants.
That's nice because sometimes you think in an improv show, well, it's all improv. It could be anybody, but there is an advantage to working with the same people, to getting to know each other.
Yeah. It's also like I'm sure you grow a lot too by doing with different people all the time. But if you want to do a show where you're not growing, where you're just doing good improv, it's probably better to do with someone you know.
Do you feel like being in Winnipeg? Do you feel like you're away from the action, or you're like, no, this is a good point in my life, or?
I did feel away from the action first, but I'm just away every weekend. I'm performing every weekend because I used to live in Hollywood where I could I mean, now I can't audition through Zoom. The thing I call Zoom.
Yeah.
But before I learned how to do that, part of the action to me is not like going away every weekend. And sometimes it's shooting a movie. I just shot a movie, and sometimes it's doing what I call stand-up, my version of stand-up, my rock hopper or improvising or just teaching, filming a TV show. So I feel very much part of the action, just not here in Winnipeg. Though there are things I filmed. I guess I filmed almost 10 things here in the 14 years maybe more. It's probably 14 things. It's probably an average of a thing a year.
Yeah.
But I do feel part of the action because I'm creating. I've become a producer myself, so I'm creating my action and where I go to work.
Well, that's what I hear often too. Like I hear, I see clips of Jason Alexander on Instagram saying, "My advice to actors is to write your own stuff. You can film movies with your phone now. Like, what are you doing? Don't sit there waiting for somebody to cast you."
Yes, and that's what I may do with my movie if we don't get any more funding.
Yeah. Well, that's good. All right, couple more questions.
Yes,
is there
yes.
anything you would like to see change in the Canadian entertainment industry?
Oh, I'm such a bad Canadian. I watch CNN more than the CBC News. I'm just so the show, but I don't know. Probably anything that I would want to change, and anything would probably fit in Canada too. I don't know. When I was a kid, I have a horrible admission, and in a way, the kids in the hall, we have an unspoken bond about this. When we grew up not liking Canadian TV, I'm not saying we're right, because I don't know if we're right. I'm not that arrogant. But there was just something that we didn't like as much. Maybe just the Canadian thing that we just wanted to be harder on ourselves. And I don't know. And when we were petrified because when we got our TV show, it was going to be HBO. But then HBO ran out of money because this is HBO pre-Sopranos. And so we had to go with CBC, and we were petrified.
That they would censor you, or
no, that would just be bad because it was on CBC. No offense, CBC. We were wrong. I mean, no offense, CBC. I feel the show I'm on is CBC related. So I think that was just what we thought, and it turned out not to be true. So I don't know what I would change.
Yeah. Were you so SCTV was before you?
Oh, I loved SCTV. I was 14 when it came on. But that was the first Canadian show that gave me hope.
Yeah, you're like, okay, it can be good. It's not all,
I
don't know, the Beachcombers.
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure there was other Canadian things that I thought that was okay. You know what I liked? I thought he was cool and hip. Alan Thicke talk show.
Thick of the Night.
Yeah. No, not that.
Oh, that was something
American
different.
One. The one he did in Vancouver. He replaced Alan Hamill, and he was sort of hip. Like I remember. He was interviewing some actress who didn't like his beard, and then when they came back from a commercial, he had shaved half his beard off, and like it was sort of, I remember liking that, but of course not as much as SCTV.
Yeah.
They also had Canadian comics on, Alan Thicke, who I later became friends with, who I loved, like Mike McDonald. I don't know if anyone out there remembers the great Mike
Yeah,
McDonald.
they still call it the Mike McDonald Summer Contest in Ottawa for Yuck Yucks to raise
Is
money.
he from Ottawa?
I think he must have been.
I think that rings a bell.
Yeah.
He was a genius. He was a genius.
Wow. And then who have you been your biggest mentors or comedic influences throughout your career?
Like mentors, I don't know. I guess Lorne Michaels was a mentor.
Were you weren't on Saturday Night Live though, were you?
No. He's just like, he was the producer of our show.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah, I guess now that I remember, it's in the credits. And
Yeah.
wasn't there a famous Toronto band that was your opening song, or what was it?
Shadowy Man. Shadowy
Yeah,
Man from Shadowy Planet.
Planet. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a lot of people. They're half the reason why they like the Kids in the Hall, like the independent rockers. I guess there were mentors like people in theater sports, and I mean Alan Gutman, who taught us at Yuck Yucks, who taught us at Second City. He was a big mentor. Brian Nasmach. We never give him the credit he deserves. He was a stand-up comic who was also like a producer. And we started with the Rivoli because he was producing a variety show every Monday, and he asked the original Kids in the Hall to be the house band, and he was our coach at theater sports, and so he taught me a lot. He also got mad at me a lot. I probably deserved it. So there are people like everywhere, mentors. Now my comedy influences. My first one. And later I got ashamed of him when I was a little kid, was Jerry Lewis. I wanted to be like Jerry Lewis.
Oh.
And then when I became like a comedy snob older, I thought, Jerry Lewis, he's not very good. And then when I became, I guess, the person I really am, like around 30, I got Jerry Lewis. Almost a half of every movie that he directed himself, his own movies, are great. And the other half is not so great. And is because he wrote everything and produced and directed everything himself. He needed another writer to say to look over Jerry's script and go, oh, that's good, not that, Jerry, delete that, not that. And that's what I thought about Jerry. But I don't want to say that Jerry Lewis was my influence. Buster Keaton, Marx Brothers, of course, Monty Python, SCTV, Steve Martin when he was like an anti-comic stand-up comic, Woody Allen, of course, Gene Wilder. When I saw Young Frankenstein, he has sort of similar hair to mine. And I understood that he co-wrote it. He wrote the first draft with Mel Brooks. That's what I wanted to do. And then later he directed. I wanted it to be like Gene Wilder and Albert Brooks. Then I wanted to be Albert Brooks, genius Albert Brooks. If you haven't seen any Albert Brooks movie, you got to see Albert Brooks movies. The first 4 or 5.
I will look those up.
Real Life is his first one. Start with Real Life.
Okay.
It's sort of the first mockumentary.
Oh, X is kind of like Spinal Tap, that kind of stuff. This is Spinal.
But it's more meta. He's playing Albert Brooks directing a documentary, and so there's a documentary of him filming the documentary, and it's like a 70s. It's sort of based on a 70s idea that you may not understand as much as I do, being an older man. But I think the comedy is still pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like in Woody Allen movies where a character has to keep going to restaurants and tells them if anybody calls, like, I don't know, he calls his secretary and says, I'm at this restaurant if anybody wants me, because before cell phones, right? So it just had to, little things that kids tell
you. Oh yeah, Tony Roberts. I'm at 456. But if you call in 10 minutes, I'll be at 655. I quote that all the time. I don't have the numbers right. Also, I should say I love Lucy. She was a big influence on me. She really was. Yeah. I always think that subconsciously Gilda Radner was an influence on me. I think that. Ooh. And if you were to ask me my favorite stand-up, and I sort of copying the fact that I tell stories now, Richard Pryor, I think, is the only boring dumb guys say this, but here I go. I would call him the Beatles. He probably would throw up on me if he was alive and heard me say that, but I would call him the Beatles of stand-up comedy.
I like that kind of comedy, like just sort of more stories. Like a lot of comedians are just like, it's one-liners, and that's fine, and sometimes that's even better on TikTok and stuff. But that sort of long form, get into a story that's hard to do, and it doesn't even, you couldn't even just do it like if you get a 5-minute set at a Yuck Yucks New Talent Night. That's something you have to sort of build up as a one-man show or something.
Yeah. Like before COVID, when I was doing stand-up, I was having trouble because I was trying to do like a sketch comedy version of stand-up. It was sort of conceptual, where I was playing a guy called Kevin McDonald who was in the Kids in the Hall trying stand-up for the first time.
Yes.
And so if Kids in the Hall fans came, they got it and they laughed. I hate saying they got it, like it's so pompous. But they agreed with me that it was a good idea, and they laughed. But if I played the Punchline in San Francisco, where half the club is people just coming to see whatever comic is there, I would have trouble. They would just think I'm an old guy, because the thing is, I was part of the act was me doing it bad on purpose. So they just thought I was an old guy who was bad.
That's true. You need the context. I did a whole stand-up act recently, like 10 minutes of me. This is my live podcast. I'm doing a podcast. And I guess, but nobody knows who I am anyways. But I understand the desire to do like a long form, like it's a 10-minute mini play that I'm doing. It's not just a bunch of jokes.
Conceptual. It's conceptual.
Yeah. You're the Andy Kaufman of Canada.
Oh, he was another one that really influenced me. Andy Kaufman. Andy Kaufman was huge. We probably have to go. It's past the time.
Yeah,
but I just want to say Andy Kaufman. The thing about like the great weird alternative comedians, and he was the greatest anti-comic ever. He also had conventional comedy talent. He also had great timing and was very funny on his sitcom that he was on, Taxi. That's all I have to say. That's my last word.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. Like, he was really weird and he would just stand there and play the Mighty Mouse song, but you have to be good and know what you're doing to break the rules. Otherwise, you're just weird.
He totally learned the rules to break the rules, because he had perfect timing. And if he decided to be an act that just said jokes, he would have been able to do that. He would have been able to do that very easily.
Oh, man, so good. And just one last question, just for myself. How did Paula get you to move back to Winnipeg instead of you getting her to move to L.A.?
Well, Paula wants to move to LA. She has family in LA, and she always wanted to live there. I just have failed for 14 years to do that. She wants to move to LA. Oh, yeah. So how did she fail? That does answer. I don't know. I just came.
That's all right. LA's on fire every week now, anyways. So
I know.
And it seems that now it was interesting that you can do your auditions down the street. You can travel around. It doesn't really matter where you live as much now. Like, would you say that you have to live in LA to make it in Hollywood, like in comedy now, or is it fine?
I think psychologically it's still better. I mean, I've had that experience, like to feel part of a scene. Not that I'm a loner. Not that I ever, except for the Kids in the Hall, not that I've ever felt like a part of a scene. But I did way more. You go to the auditions with the same actors because they're all your type, and they become your audition buddies. And like that in the waiting room, joking around because you're nervous and they're nervous, but still, you got to joke around. There's something about that that sort of builds your character, like when you're in the audition room auditioning, I think.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And where would people go to find out about where your workshops and your rock opera is? Like, is it on the Kids in the Hall site?
Kids in the Hall, yeah. Kids in the Hall website.
It's a good thing they're still taking care of you, because they're like...
I know, but they only do if I remember to tell them. Sometimes I forget to for months. So
Is Paula ever sort of your manager? She says, here, I'm going to email them for you?
No, but if she did, she would be great. Like a few times she has, yeah. She should. I'm going to ask her to quit her job.
All right. Looks like there's an opening for a social media manager for Kevin McDonald. I'm going to put that there.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Come back anytime, or email eBoss Canada, and we'll post all your, everywhere they can find Kevin.
All right. I'll do that. Yeah. I'll remember you more than I remember the Kids in the Hall for some reason.
Exactly. I'm the new Kids in the, I'm the lost Beatle or something.
Yeah. The fifth Beatle.
The fifth Kids in the Hall.
The sixth Kid in the Hall.
The sixth Kids in the Hall. I should, first I should learn how many there are, and then I can add that'll be that. All right. Well, thank you so much to Canadian legend Kevin McDonald.
Not really a legend, but thank you.
Whatever.